What's up guys, thanks for tuning in. Today we're going to talk about an issue that a lot of RVers face, and it's one that RV manufacturers don't really address. I don't think they really put a lot of thought into it, so we come up with our own solution for it, and this is how we handle flushing our kitchen gray tank. So unlike the black tank in your RV, the gray tank doesn't have a dedicated flush port. Your black tank has the flush port. You can hook the water hose up, you can run some extra water into it to kind of help flush things out. The gray tanks don't have that. The bathroom gray tank has never been an issue for us. Obviously that's just shower water, sink water, soapy water. However, after 6 years of being full-time in our RV, our kitchen gray tank, even though we try to keep stuff from going down there, you know, when we're doing dishes after dinner, eventually some stuff is going to get down inside there, and over a period of 6 years that stuff's going to build up a little bit. Our tank is not totally blocked yet. It does have times when it can smell pretty bad, but that's usually because of the air admittance valve. We have a video where we talk about that and how to keep those smells out of the inside of your RV. Our gray tank is cracked before, but we also have a video where I show you how we've made a patch on that. That patch is still holding up. It's been years since I made that repair on the bottom of the tank. It's still holding up perfect. I'll link to that video as well in case you're facing that issue. But today we're going to talk about how we're going to flush this gray tank out. Our gray tank actually started draining a little bit slow, so when we go to drain it, it just doesn't come gushing out, you know, rushing out like it should when it's draining. That's because we've got some crud and buildup kind of at the outlet of the gray tank. So here's how we're going to flush it. You're just going to need a couple things. So you're going to need a water hose. So this is a hose that we picked up. I would really recommend buying one of these. It's one of the, they market them under a lot of different names, pocket hose, or a couple different other actual brands. But it's basically one of the fabric hoses that when there's no pressure on it, it shrinks up very, very small. So it's going to shrink up, doesn't take up any space at all. This thing's been super handy to have. I use it a lot in my RV repair business. I take this with me when I'm going to be cleaning air conditioners or doing anything where I'm going to need a water hose because it just doesn't take up any space. You're also going to need an adapter. This is the Camco dual flush adapter. They make a lot of different styles, but basically you just need a flush adapter that will be able to attach onto your pipes so that you can run some water, backflush some water up in there. And that's what this is for. This is designed to backflush, but we're gonna backflush it a little bit differently than just having the hose hooked to this side and just running water in there. You're also going to need your caps. So the caps from either off the end of your dump valves or the cap off the end of your sewer hoses. And then you're going to need a little bucket just to catch a little bit of water that's going to drain out before you open the tank all the way. So the way we're going to flush this out and kind of back flush it to, all we're trying to do is just push some water back up into the tank. We're not going to fill it up. We're not trying to put 30 gallons of water back into our kitchen tank and then let it drain out. We're just trying to back flush it and get enough pressure on it to kind of push anything that's kind of built up right against that valve. We want to push that stuff back into the tank, add a little bit of water, and then dump it and let it all kind of flush out. That's what we're trying to do. So we've also got the Valterra secondary valves on ours. You can do this even if you don't have these valves. If you have these valves, it makes it a lot easier. If you don't have these valves, I'd recommend getting those. We put these on within the first 6 months of getting our RV because we had a little bit of debris get caught up in the valves, and every time we would take the cap off to hook our sewer hose up, a little bit of water would dump out, and if that happens on your black tank, you know that's pretty gross. So we put these secondary valves on there and they've been awesome. So we've got everything closed right now. I've got the gray tank valve closed, I've got my secondary valve closed. I'm gonna hook my water hose to my flush tube. So it also helps if you have an on-off switch. The flusher has an on and off switch here, but it makes it a little easier too if you have one on your hose that you can turn your water on and off. I'm going to put this on upside down because the way the tube goes into this into the end here, you can see, like, so what happens is our gray tank comes in kind of to the bottom of this adapter, and then they have like the big adapter on here so that it fits onto your normal sewer hose. So if I were to put this on in this fashion, I'm just going to be shooting water into the top of my adapter. I want it to go in the bottom so it goes all the way up the tube. So I'm going to hook this on upside down. Turn that on. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take our cap and we're going to cap off the end of this flush valve. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and open our secondary valve. We're going to go ahead and open the gray tank. And now we're just going to turn the water on. So turn our water on, make sure it's flushing. So now that water is pushing up into that tube. It can't drain out. So as soon as our drain tube builds up water, this is going to push water pressure back into the tank and backflush it. So now we're going to shut our water off. Kind of let that fill up. Let any air bubbles that are in that tube come out. And then we're going to turn it back on again. And all that does when you turn that water off and back on, it kind of lets whatever might be in the tube or in front of that valve, it drains out a little bit, and then you're going to back flush it again just to try to clean anything out that might be in there. All right, so now we're going to shut this off. So we'll shut the valve off there, turn our water off. Now, this is where you're going to end up using your bucket. So I'm going to close the secondary valve. If you don't have a secondary valve, you would just close your gray tank at the main valve, and then it's just gray water. It's not the end of the world if some of it gets on the ground, but if you were doing this in an RV park, they see you doing something like this, they get real touchy about any water getting on the ground, gray tank or otherwise. So just take your bucket, hold it under there, use the bucket to drain the water into. That way nobody can get upset that you're draining gray water or any kind of sewer water onto the ground. Now we're gonna, so if you want to see what comes out of here, you can hook your flush valve back up. So we'll leave this on so you can see the crud that comes out of here. And our tank, our gray tank was actually empty. So, but it was draining really slow, like I said. So now you can see it brushing out of there. Now that's draining like it's supposed to. And I only put just a little bit of water in there. You know, I didn't even run this for 5 minutes. I ran it for maybe 3 minutes or so to flush it back in there. But when I came out to drain this the other night, I was just getting, it was almost full, and I was just getting just a very small trickle of water out of there. So I knew that it was time to flush this. If you're in a campground that has hard water, you're much more likely to get like hard water deposits. It seems like things clump together a lot more inside these tanks if you're in a park that has hard water. We never really had an issue with this until we were at a campground that did have hard water, and we were there for quite a few months. So that's the first time we had problems with getting stuff built up inside our gray tank. So I feel like the hard water has a lot to do with that. But this method right here is just a super easy way to flush your gray tank out. Not many people do it because there's no flush port on it, but if you did this, you know, once a month on your gray tank in your kitchen, number one, you're going to cut down on any funky smells that might come out of there by flushing some of that out, and you're going to keep all any buildup in there flushed out so that everything drains the way it's supposed to. All right, that's it for now. Keep that gray tank flushed out. It's super easy to do. You just need a few simple things, and you can take care of that yourself. Appreciate you guys watching, and we'll catch you guys down the road.